Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. It is Thursday, and man, the AI news cycle is just absolutely relentless right now. I am Taylor, and I am so ready to get into it.
And I am Morgan. Relentless is definitely the word for it. We have a really interesting lineup today, covering everything from image generation to some deep architectural shifts.
Exactly. Plus, we are looking at how AI evaluates AI and Google getting a little too personal.
Sounds like a packed show. There is a lot of ground to cover. So why don't you kick us off with the first story?
First up, I saw this fascinating piece on TechCrunch about LMSYS Chatbot Arena. It is basically the public leaderboard everyone uses to rank these massive frontier AI models.
Right, the ELO rating system for LLMs. It has become the gold standard for PR cycles. But what is the actual news here? Did someone finally figure out how to game it?
Well, that is the thing. They claim it is the leaderboard you quote-unquote cannot game. But the crazy part is, the startup behind it went from a UC Berkeley PhD project to industry judge in just 7 months.
That is a massive leap. And let me guess, the funding for this supposedly impartial judge is coming from the exact same companies that are competing on the leaderboard?
Dude, you nailed it. Yeah, it is funded by the companies it ranks, which, sounds a bit like a conflict of interest, right? But the founders insist the blind A/B testing keeps it pure.
I mean, blind crowdsourced testing is robust, but when your financial runway depends on OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic, there is always going to be some underlying pressure. It is a tricky balance.
Totally, but for now, it is still the de facto standard. Like, when a new model drops, if it does not top the arena, people just do not care. It is wild how much power these PhD students have now.
It really is. It highlights how desperate the industry is for objective benchmarks. Traditional tests are too easy for modern LLMs, so we have resorted to crowdsourced vibe checks.
Yeah, vibe checks that dictate billions of dollars in investments. It is kind of hilarious when you step back and think about it.
Hilarious and slightly terrifying. But until someone invents a programmatic way to evaluate reasoning that the models cannot memorize, the arena is the best tool we have.
Okay, speaking of vibe checks, let's talk about AI art. Midjourney is rolling out an early version of its V6 model for community testing. And dude, it is apparently 5 times faster.
5 times faster is a significant leap for diffusion models. I read on the decoder that the detail and prompt adherence are much better too. But there is a catch with the pricing, right?
Oh, there is a massive catch. So the generation is way faster, but if you want to use its absolute best features, they are charging like 4 times as much. It is kind of a bummer.
Wait, a 4 times price hike for premium features? That feels steep. It seems like the compute costs for these high-fidelity generations are finally catching up to the consumer pricing model.
Yeah, exactly. It is like, sure, you get your images in seconds now, which is so cool, but your credits are just going to vanish if you want the ultra premium output.
It makes sense from a business perspective. They are tiering the compute. Casual users get speed, but power users and professionals have to subsidize the heavy lifting. I wonder if it will alienate their core base.
I don't know, man. Midjourney users are pretty hardcore. If the V6 quality is really that mind-blowing, I bet people will just pay it. We will have to see how the community reacts once it is fully out.
True. Quality usually wins out in the creative space. The freemium or low-tier subscription model is too valuable for user acquisition. They just need to monetize the power users more effectively.
For sure. I am just hoping they keep a cheaper tier for us casual users who just want to make weird desktop wallpapers, But hey, speaking of pushing boundaries, we need to talk about Google Gemini.
Right, I saw the headline from ZDNet. Something about Gemini's new personal intelligence mode? What exactly makes this different from their standard assistant features?
Oh, man. Okay, so a writer tried out this hyper-personalized mode, and they said it was incredibly accurate, but super unsettling. Like, it just knew way too much about them.
Unsettling how? Like it just parsed their Google Workspace data and knew too much about their schedule? Or was it making weird inferences about their personal life?
Both. Like, it basically knew everything about their habits, their preferences, their past projects. The reviewer was shocked by how deeply it understood them. It was surprisingly useful, but like, kind of spooky, you know?
I mean, this is the double-edged sword of ecosystem integration. If you give an LLM access to your Gmail, Docs, and Calendar, it is going to build a highly accurate psychological profile of you.
Right, but it is one thing to know it logically, and another to have the AI casually drop a hyper-specific reference to a project you abandoned 3 years ago. It is like having a digital stalker who is also your assistant.
A very helpful stalker, apparently. But this does raise serious privacy questions. How much of this personalized context is being stored? And more importantly, is it being used to train future iterations of Gemini?
Google says they have privacy guardrails, but yeah, it definitely makes you think twice about what you keep in your Google account. Still, the convenience factor is just so huge. I bet everyone turns it on anyway.
Convenience almost always beats privacy in consumer tech. It is a fascinating shift, though. We are moving from AI as a generic oracle to AI as a deeply intimate personal confidant.
Yeah, a confidant that happens to be owned by one of the biggest ad companies on the planet. What could possibly go wrong, right?
Precisely my concern. The utility is undeniable, but the data dependency is absolute. It is a trade-off every user will have to weigh for themselves very carefully.
Totally. Okay, for our last story, we are getting a bit technical, but it is so cool. Researchers from CMU and Princeton just unveiled Mamba-3. It is a new state space model, and it is making waves.
Ah, the Mamba architecture. This is really important because the industry is desperately looking for alternatives to the standard transformer model. Transformers are just too memory intensive at scale. What does Mamba-3 bring to the table?
So, according to MarkTech Post, Mamba-3 has states that are 2 times smaller than before. Plus, it uses something called enhanced MIMO decoding, which massively improves hardware efficiency during inference.
2 times smaller states is huge for deployment. And MIMO decoding, that stands for multiple input, multiple output, right? So they're essentially parallelizing the generation process to bypass the usual memory bottlenecks.
Exactly! Transformers have this quadratic compute problem, which makes them super slow and expensive when the context window gets huge. Mamba-3 is tackling that head on. It is all about making inference cheaper and faster.
This is the real battleground right now. Everyone focuses on training, but inference time compute is where the actual costs lie for companies deploying these models. If Mamba-3 can match transformer quality, it could be a game changer.
Dude, yes! Imagine getting GPT-4 level performance, but running it locally on way smaller hardware because the architecture is just that much more efficient. The open source community is going to eat this up.
We will need to see the benchmark results, hopefully on the LMSYS Arena we just talked about, but the continuous evolution of state-based models is definitely something we need to keep a close eye on.
For sure. I just love seeing the hardware bottleneck getting attacked from the software side. It feels like we are entering a whole new era of efficiency.
I agree. The brute force era of simply adding more GPUs is becoming unsustainable. Architectural innovations like Mamba-3 are exactly what the industry needs to keep scaling.
Oh, full circle with the arena mention. I love it. Well, that is all the time we have for today's deep dive into the noise.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure to check the show notes for links to all the research and articles we discussed today.
All right, guys, that is it for today. We will be back tomorrow with more AI news.